I'm Chip Fry with Awareness Media. We come to you today from the 84th Annual American Diabetes Association Conference with over 18,000 dedicated individuals in attendance. We are here with the leadership team of Biomed Industries, Dr. Lloyd Tran, Dr. Zung Tran, and Mr. Michael Willis. Biomed is a biopharmaceutical company developing a breakthrough new treatment for diabetes obesity using a novel new quadruple receptor agonist by the name of NA931. Dr. Tran, could you please give us a little background on how you were able to make this amazing drug discovery?
Thank you, Chip. The discovery of our drug, NA931, is unexpectedly and come as a surprise to us. Over the past many years, we spent a lot of time research on the drug NA831 for the treatment of dementia and Alzheimer's disease. We know that in the clinical trials and even before that in preclinical, at our phase 2A, we noted the number of patients who were diabetics suffering some phenomena which is a weight loss. We thought that maybe because of the getting older or maybe because of the diet, but across the board of the patient versus placebo, patients who suffering from diabetics have a significant weight loss. We note that, but we did not back any further until another drug we work on, NA921. This drug designed for the treatment of Rett syndrome, mainly for children, normally teenage girls. And surprisingly, 1/3 of the teenage girls who had Rett syndrome, but also comorbidities, including pre-diabetics, they lose weight up to about 12% of their weight loss. And that came as a surprise, but it's not a surprise to us. However, they get better, not only because of the treatment of Rett syndrome, but they get better because of they're able to reduce their glucose management, and they're able to manage their glucose along with diabetics avoidance. So that comes to our conclusion, there must be a linkage between neurological disorders, and diabetics, and particularly obesity. Further research indicates to us there is a clear linkage between metabolic diseases and the central nervous system. So if you look at the people who have obesity problem, it's not only because of their diet. There's nothing wrong with their diet. Of course, some of them try very hard, but they couldn't overcome their problem, obesity, because it relates to the central nervous system, which control everything, including the way you think, the way you act, and the way you eat, the way you have appetite or not. So thanks to the observation, we decided to further advance our study, and from there we developed a new drug, which is the analog of the previous drug for dementia. We call it NA931 for the treatment of obesity.
Michael Willis, could you please share with us a little bit about the background of the company as well as your meeting at the conference and what you hope to accomplish?
We're here at the ADA conference to present two very important papers. One, of course, on NA931 and our recent animal trials data. We're soon to launch a phase 2 trial with humans for this drug. And the other paper we're presenting, and it's really one of the main drivers of what we're doing here as well, is that we've observed through published information, published clinical trials, the two major drugs that are on the market today. One from Eli Lilly, one from Novo Nordisk. They're two different drugs, but they essentially are targeting either one agonist, GLP-1, or two agonists, which is GIP and GLP-1. Some are working on a third. I think Lilly is working on a third agonist target as well. But the problem with those is that they cause tremendous and very serious side effects in patients. Certainly you've read about nausea, diarrhea. A lot of patients stop taking those drugs because of those kinds of side effects. But a very, very serious side effect accompanying those drugs also is muscle loss. And a lot of these people are older people. They can ill afford muscle loss in their life, because you need those muscles to keep balance and things like that. So, we are trying to address a very, very serious issue. And as Lloyd will explain a little bit later for you, it's all about balancing these hormones. And the sort of the key component in that balance appears to be insulin. So that's, I'll stop here and let Lloyd finish, with more detail on that.
Very interesting. And Dr. Zeng Tran, could I ask you to explain how you were able to derive the necessary data in meta-analysis to allow you to conclude the compound would provide the necessary mechanism of action for the safe treatment of diabetes, obesity?
Yeah, what I did was I looked at the two drugs from the major manufacturers. That is semaglutide, which is Novo Nordisk, and tirzepatide, which is Eli Lilly. Both of those drugs are FDA approved. Therefore, there is plenty of literature, published literature out there from medical journals that focus on the treatment using these drugs and the outcomes in terms of weight loss, percent weight loss, diabetic outcomes, and adverse events. So what we did was we did a systematic review of the available literature. Now this is a very important point, is that these are publicly available information from medical journals. So it's not from any hidden source. So overall, we found 33 phase 3 clinical trials. 22 of them were from semaglutide and 11 tirzepatide. So I did my usual analysis, extracted information from each one of the papers, and the results are very interesting. One is that for each one of the drugs, for example, semaglutide, in the clinical trials, they usually ran 3 levels of doses. For semaglutide, it was 0.5 milligrams, 1 milligram, and 2.4 milligrams. For tirzepatide, it was 5, 10, and 15 milligrams. What we also saw that was very interesting was that as the dose went up within each one of those drugs, the adverse events also went up, sometimes very drastically. In other words, it was not linear. Now, we also saw that with escalating doses, in other words, higher doses, the outcomes also change in terms of getting better. In other words, at higher doses for both drugs, the percent weight loss increased, right? But the adverse event also increased. So you have a situation where you have to make a decision as to whether to continue treatment for long periods of time because the adverse events started to escalate. And so you see that in some papers, and particularly in a news report, that people quit. That somebody would say, well, I've been taking this drug for several months, for 6 months, and I've lost my appetite. Life isn't pleasurable anymore. I don't like to eat food, and so on and so forth. So that's a serious issue, and I think this is where Dr. Lloyd Tran can address the issue of how our drug, NA931, can overcome the deficiencies of these 2 drugs from Eli Lilly and Novo Nordisk.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Dr. Lloyd Tran, could you please explain that to us?
Well, as Dr. Dũng Tran mentioned and Michael mentioned that in the industry today, not only two major drugs, semaglutide and tirzepatide, which have been approved by FDA, and there are several drugs focused intensely on the GLP-1, GIP, and also glucagon. As you know, those three receptor agonists are designed to help with the obesity problem by creating situation where the patient lose appetite. Also, it triggers the brain, so the brain no longer will absorb more nutrient, more energy. As a result, the patient lose weight significantly, about anywhere from 12 to 18%. And I think it is good, but it's not a natural way to lose weight. And you see, as Dũng mentioned, the high dose you given, either Eli Lilly drugs, tirzepatide, or Novo Nordisk drugs, semaglutide, the higher the dose, the more adverse events the patient is suffering, including nausea, vomiting, and all the neurological symptoms, including depression. And not only that, a portion of patients suffering from muscle loss, which is a serious event for older people. We look at that, we find that it's not a very best way to help the patient with weight problem. We think that we need to look at the situation holistically. In fact, Mother Nature is a wonderful, a marvelous way that have check and balance. You cannot push all the way to limit without paying the price. And the fact that you focus entirely on GLP-1 or GIP-1 or glucagon, that's not the complete solution. We come up with a solution in which there's another hormone, a growth hormone, which is critical to our health being. We call it insulin-like growth hormone, IGF-1. It is well known in the research. Most scientists in diabetics, in all the neurological diseases are aware of IGF-1, insulin growth hormone. This is, once again, I must call it, is a wonderful Mother Nature created. It is a balance of all the three hormones. The IGF-1 function as a balancing act, created a situation of balance so that you achieve the homeostasis, in which all the elements, all the conditions in the human being are counter back and achieve the balance, almost like check and balance, right? And that helps to protect our body to achieve the healthy being. So if you introduce the drugs such as semaglutide or tirzepatide, you achieve 15, 18, 20% weight loss over a few months. But the adverse event show that it is alarming. It is a Mother Nature tell you it's not good. You got to do something about it, right? So some people, you can achieve the weight loss, but you're suffering from all the adverse effects, including muscle pain, muscle loss is not healthy. So the way our drug works, the mechanism of action, we call it MOA for abbreviation. The MOA of our drug is based on 4 elements. Quadruple is the 4 elements of 4 receptor agonists, including IGF-1, GLP-1, GIP, and glucagon. In fact, we can show that on the screen for you to know what it's exactly about, but I'd like to move further. The function of IGF-1 is a balancing act of GIP. It also interfaces with GIP-1. It's also related to glucagon. So on one hand, you have 4 powerful receptor agonists designed to help the patient lose weight. But you have another growth hormone, IGF-1, to balancing those. For example, if you take the drug such as Novo Nordisk, semaglutide. The way the drug works is that it deprives the patient from hunger. They don't feel the sense of take food, right? And as a result, the patient begin to lose weight. But you guess what? I don't know about you. For me, if I cannot eat good, if you don't have enough food, or even not looking forward to a dinner tonight, I feel I'm missing something, right? Having food, have a good appetite is a pleasure giving us, so that we not only to have food, but we enjoy taking food. And that helps our well-being. As a result, you feel smiling when you have a good dinner, right? And the same exact like that. But deprive the patient from that ability to enjoy the food, appetite. It causes neurological symptoms. Start very slow, but could be a major depression. Many patients who took the weight loss today in the market, after several months report they're suffering from depression. Our drug don't have that. In fact, our drug NA931 designed to counterback all the three, and at the same time give two major benefits. In fact, one of the benefits of NA931, which is close to another drug we have, NA901, is to treatment for major depressive disorder. And I explain you why we work like that. And because our drug not only target to one element of the brain, we work on the holistic of the brain. For example, I go backward to see you another drug we have, NA831, designed for treatment of dementia by stimulate the regeneration of new neurons. We call it neurogenesis. Neurogenesis to help the patient to stop deterioration of their memory loss, but also help the patient to overcome cognitive impairment. Related to that drug is our drug NA31, have a similar property for the treatment of dementia, but designed for obesity. So NA31 not only help to restore the well-being of the brain, but also to help balancing GLP-1, GIP, and other glucagon.
I'd like to get back to the American Diabetes Association meeting conference that you're at right now. And again, the idea of a quadruple receptor agonist targeting IGF-1, GLP-1, GIP, and glucagon receptors is certainly an exciting and innovative approach showing tremendous promise. What would you say are the next steps, gentlemen?
Well, I think the next step is that as today's meeting, we presenting a paper of the animal study of our drug as a quadruple receptor agonist as compared to the triple or single. And the animal study showed the drugs are very compatible, a little bit better than Eli Lilly's tirzepatide, but without any kind of adverse effect. Interesting enough, we also the data a combination of the drug of ours and their drug, which is we take a big step forward, saying that what if we combine our drug with them to see if we can reduce their toxicity by using a lower dose of tirzepatide, to see if there is a synergy between our drug and Eli Lilly drugs. The reason why NA931 is an oral formulation drug. Their drug is injectable. You have to inject once a week, every week for many, many months. Ours is just a daily oral. So we see there is a complementary. Before we say which one is better, we take the scientific approach by test to see how these drugs work combined together. Because we have two approaches. One is a triple approach by Eli Lilly drugs, another one by quadruple approach by our drug. Result actually very promising, saying that by combining together, number one, we can use a very low dose of tirzepatide. Tirzepatide we use like 1 milligram instead of 2.4 milligram, which is more than half. If we cut down the doses more than half, we see their adverse effect drastically reduced, which is acceptable for a patient. At the same time, we no longer have a lot of benefit of losing weight. So our drug supplemented at a synergic effect, both the synergy of both enhance the benefit of patient at the same time to cut down the adverse effect. The question is, why can't we use it as a standalone to compete against our competitors? We easily do that, but recognize being a small company, we don't have enough marketing power to do that. So by approaching them, by show the data of combination therapy, we accomplish two things. Number one, to show scientifically how it works. And it's good for the scientists to understand how our drug works as compared to their drug. It shines a lot of light to the MOA, the mechanism of action of our drug as compared to the other quadruple, triple, right? That's one thing. The second one is that in terms of marketing, we think it makes a lot of sense. But I have to ask Michael can elaborate the benefit of combination therapy with the competitors like Eli Lilly. Michael.
Yeah, as you think about the current market, there are a couple camps. Obviously, tirzepatide, there are a number of patients taking that drug. There are a number of patients taking semaglutide. But in combination with our drug, we can access every patient. So in a sense, whoever partners with us is going to double their market because, for example, if you're Eli Lilly, you're not selling drugs to the Novo Nordisk patients and vice versa. But if there's a good combination where, as Lloyd pointed out, a physician can reduce the dosage of one of the current drugs on the market, which will drastically reduce a lot of the adverse events, side effects that patients have. In combination with our drug, it appears in our animal studies especially that we magnify the effect of those drugs. That is, you'll lose more weight in a combination than you would as a standalone. So, it's really a double whammy that addresses the entire market. So whatever new product comes on the market, if it's, following the path of either a Lilly drug or a Novo Nordisk drug, which is likely because all the, you've heard of like Viking Therapeutics, for example, they're a GLP-1 and GIP drug. So they're not doing anything different or unusual or novel, and they're going to, they'll have the same kind of problems. So this is, again, will address everybody's problem, which means you open 100% of the market. So we think there's a very compelling business proposition here.
Excellent. And are you at liberty to share some of the pharma giants with whom you're speaking?
Not at this point. We are in close, I want to say, I'll call it negotiations with, some of the large pharmaceutical companies, some of whom we've mentioned, in fact. But, we are under strict non-disclosure agreements. So at this point, we're kind of,
trick you into it.
we're kind of tongue-tied at this, or hands are tied and tongues are tied at this point. So
you bet, and thank goodness, it sounds very, very exciting.
we are pretty excited about this.
Any closing remarks?
I think first, I thank you for your interest in our project. I think we see there's a tremendous need. Our focus is the patient first. I think one of the reasons we in business, our mission is to find the solution to help to mitigate the suffering and the need for the patient. So sometimes we have to be independent-minded. Sometimes we have to stand on scientific and regardless of the pressure. I spent more than 20 years. My first patent happened to be in 2001, so a little bit more than 20 years. And I remember that was the patent on the neurogenesis of our drug. And at that time, nobody understand what we talk about. And I think I take the liberty to raise the questions that the current method may be too narrow, may not be accommodated all the solutions. So I'm approaching many so-called key opinion leaders, KOL, and usually you don't get the support. So we decided to have to be left alone, whether we like it or not. being left alone is good and bad. Bad is that you don't have a lot of results to do what you want, right? But good is that you no longer be influenced anybody else. You go your way. And when you spend 20 years to look about it, you can see things clear every day. It took a long time for other people to come around to understand what you're doing and appreciate what you're doing. And I must say that over the past 20 years, we were able to accomplish to get the drug move along. Even though we could do faster if we had more money, but we do steps slowly and understand how things work. And we think that the NA831 gives us a big breakthrough of understanding how dementia and Alzheimer's disease work. Thanks to that, we understand how the brain works. It took us 20 years to understand how the central nervous system works, and we found that the Mother Nature is a complete, holistic organ. And it's a surprise to us that somehow diseases are related together. We said, how could diabetes relate to dementia? It's so true that Alzheimer's disease is very interlinked with insulin's insensitivity. And the same thing related to obesity is the phenomena of controlling insulin and how to achieve a holistic of your being. So when you understand that phenomena, we are fortunate to find a solution to it. We think our solution is one of the latest, the most advanced today. Particularly at the ADA conference, there are many, more than 18,000 participants. Most of the paper are the same kind of, same trend, right? We are one of the only one that come in with an alternative approach. In fact, we're not far different. We actually add one new dimension to make the whole equation successful. I think many companies spend years to achieve the benefit of GLP-1 and GIP and glucagon, and now we take one step further to go from triple to quadruple, which is a progress of scientific research. And we're very fortunate to be part of the scientific frontier. So we hope that we got the support from the community to help us to have enough capital to do the phase 2B and phase 3 for obesity. Not only obesity, we also have another drug, NA941, for liver diseases, which is very related to obesity as well. Thank you.
Excellent, excellent. Well, congratulations, gentlemen, on this amazing drug discoveries that you have made and the progress using, finding new compounds to be able to treat all these different neurodegenerative diseases. It's thoroughly exciting. So again, we're coming to you from the 84th Annual American Diabetes Association Conference, and we thank you for your attendance, and good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff.